So shall we go through them? We've got just over an hour. So we've got first question about the validity of the passport. Does my passport, Hong Kong passport, needs to be valid as in not expired at the time of the application for extension or application for ILR?
Yes, any immigration application to the Home Office, you need a valid passport.
咁頭先嘅問題咧就提到啦，就係如果我嗰個護照係譬如話香港護照啊或者 BN 護照，咁如果係到咗期嘅話咧，咁我需唔需要係申請翻一個係有效期嘅護照而作出呢一個嘅續簽申請？咁係需要嘅嚇，因為每一個嘅移民局都係需要你一個有效嘅護照嘅。
And what happens when you're unable to renew the passport for whatever reason? We have had situations where, and especially for Hong Kong passports, people are afraid to go to the Chinese embassy to get that renewed. Is there any possibility that people could apply with an expired passport if they've got reasons of why they're unable to apply to renew them?
Yes, it is possible. When you go through the online application, it asks you what documents you've got. And if you're answering, I don't have them, they'll say, well, why not? Well, what are your reasons? And then you put them in there.
係，咁另一個問題就係啦，咁如果有一啲嘅人士可能係個護照到期，但係佢去申請翻一個新嘅護照嘅時候啦，可能有啲嘅情況出現啦，咁係做唔到嘅。譬如話有啲嘅香港人，佢可能係好怕去呢一個嘅中國大使館去再續簽翻再申請翻佢嗰個香港護照咁樣啦。咁喺呢方面咧，其實咧就當你去做呢個續簽申請嘅時候咧，有一個問題係會問你嘅，咁你係咪有擁有呢一個嘅護照？咁你可以答冇嘅，咁然後之後咧，佢會問你咩原因，咁你可以寫翻你嘅原因喺度嘅。
Another question is about travel while a person's waiting for a visa to be extended. Are they not allowed to travel, or they advise not to travel? Is that the kind of compulsory sorts of do not travel because the application will be withdrawn, or you shouldn't travel because you may have problems coming back?
If you leave the country, then the application counts as withdrawn, so you shouldn't travel.
係咁另外就係話關於當我等緊呢一個簽證續期嘅時候，咁我係咪容許可以出去英國國外啊？定係話係我只不過係提議我唔好去英國嘅國外嘅啫？咁其實咧喺呢方面咧，其實你係唔好。應該話唔可以係出去國外，因為當你申請期間嘅時候咧，如果你一出去嘅話咧，咁咧你就會自動係取消你嗰個嘅申請嘅。
Okay, we've got another one. Due to unforeseen circumstances, we were unable to come to the UK right after the 5-year BN visa was approved, and we arrived to the UK 15 months after the visa was approved. What happens? What do they have to do now?
So presumably 15 months, so you've still got 17 months left on the visa. You're perfectly valid in the UK. When you get towards the end of the visa you've got, you apply for an extension.
另外一個嘅簽證就係話，當佢申請咗5年嘅 BNO 簽證啦，但係因為有一啲咧係冇唔能夠預計嘅一啲嘅原因啦，咁所以佢就當其時冇嚟到嘅，咁咧而只係剩翻嗰15個月嘅。咁如果係咁嘅情況嘅時候咧，你都係可以到英國之後咧再申請呢一個嘅續簽嘅。
So if you do need only 15 months worth of visa, do you still have to apply for 2.5 year worth of visa?
Yeah, you can only apply for 2.5 or 5, so you go for 2.5.
係，咁喺呢個情況咧，就係你係可以申請一個2年半嘅簽證嘅。
So we've got some repeated questions. I'm just trying to Yeah, so the person saying I have a 5-year BN visa, can I follow the same process mentioned in the presentation to extend my visa, or does that process only relate to the 2.5-year visa?
Okay, you can if you want to. After 5 years, you'd be eligible to apply for settlement, but if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, you can just extend.
係咁另外就係如果我已經有一個5年嘅簽證，咁但係之後咧，我想再申請一個嘅續簽2年半，可唔可以？係可以嘅嚇。咁但係基本上，如果你已經係足夠5年嘅話咧，你係可以申請永居。咁當然，如果你有任何嘅原因，咁你唔想申請永居，咁而當呢個情況咧，你亦都可以繼續申請延期2年半嘅。
This is a good question. The passport, my child's passport has been recently renewed. I have sent the form to update it to the Home Office, but have received no reply from them. How do I apply for extension? Do I use an old passport or a new passport?
So we have a new passport in existence. Okay.
Correct.
So when you get to the stage of putting in the application online, you put in the new passport's details, and you just maybe a little note explaining that the Home Office, that there's a thing that says, can you provide this passport? And so no, why not? The Home Office have already got it. And then they find that they've got it in their records. Does that make sense?
I think it's more about, I think they applied via the via an app, and the passport expired, so they renewed the passport with the Home Office, and I think you only have to kind of send the form online to renew that, but they haven't actually updated that on the UKVI, so it doesn't kind of recognize that new passport yet, and obviously they're at this stage when they have to apply for extension now.
Right. Well, if you've done your bit and sent in the updating, then I would still use the new passport, and the two should marry within the Home Office systems.
係咁，另外一個問題就係咧，咁我小朋友啦，咁已經係有一個新嘅護照啦，咁我亦都係聯絡咗 Home Office 去做呢個更新，但係咧我收唔到任何消息啦。佢哋嘅回覆嘅，咁如果當我申請小朋友去續簽嘅時候，咁我應該係用邊一本嘅護照？咁如果係咁嘅話咧，因為相信你亦都喺個 app 嗰度啦去做申請啦。如果係咁咧，你都係可以咧入翻呢個新嘅護照嘅資料俾佢嘅。咁佢可能亦都會有一個位置可以俾你去解釋，咁你就會解釋翻俾佢聽，其實你已經係遞入咗呢個新嘅護照。只不過係可能你收唔到任何嘅消息，不過應該嚟講咧 ，Home Office 係已經有小朋友新嘅護照嘅資料嘅。
Again, very good question. I have been granted 5-year visa, but my BRP is going to expire next year. How do I get the BRP? Sorry, Harry, I think you muted somehow, got muted.
How about that? Can you hear me now? Perfect.
Yeah, okay now.
Okay, so you will find an awful lot of people have BRPs with an expiry date of the 31st of the 12th, 2024, regardless of when they applied and for how long for. That's because the Home Office is changing the way they do BRPs on that date, so there's nothing to worry about.
係咁另外一個問題咧就係我已經係有呢個5年嘅簽證，但係我個 BRP 咧就係出年咧就會係到期㗎啦。咁我需唔需要再申請一個？咁其實咧就係呢個情況咧已經係好多人遇到嘅。咁因為咧就係喺當其時Home Office 佢哋做呢個 BRP 嘅時候咧係嗰個到期日全部都係去到2024嘅，咁其實咧就唔需要再暫時就唔需要有任何嘅行動嘅，因為佢哋亦都係知道嘅，因為佢哋有一個新嘅系統。
The Home Office plan is to move to a system whereby everybody, not just BNO people, but everybody can confirm their immigration status online. So nobody, if it works, will get BRP cards after that date.
係咁，因為咧喺home office 方面咧，其實佢哋已經有個計劃咧，係有一個新嘅系統，咁將所有嘅人咧就嘅資料咧係搬入去呢個系統嘅。其實就唔單止係 BNO 人士，係會將全部嘅人士都會擺落去嘅。咁所以咧之後咧就會係通過呢個網上咧就可以知道大家嘅呢個移民身份嘅情況嘅。
Okay, and I guess it's up to them to make that work and then tell everybody how they can prove their status after that. But if you do have a BRP card with that expiry date on it, don't worry, you don't have to do anything.
咁所以我哋亦都而家咧係要等緊咧home office 方面咧就再通知大家係點樣去點樣用呢個新嘅系統啦。咁所以你而家雖然係嗰個 BRP 卡咧就嚟係會到期，但係都唔需要擔心嘅，係唔需要再更新一個新嘅。
Yeah, we've got a situation we kind of describe on the slide. So somebody applied 3 months earlier than they should. The BNO visa was granted immediately. So they are short of 3 months. So is there any chance they can get a refund of AHS at some point? So if they apply for a BNO visa straight away kind of now, and they've got 2-year worth of visa left on the old visa, could they get a refund of AHS on the old visa?
Sort of unused IHS? No, sorry.
係咁頭先咧，呢個問題就係頭先有一個片啦，咁亦都係提到我嗰個嘅情況嘅。咁咧就係已經係申請咗續期啦。咁但係咧home office 嗰邊咧就真係好快去進行批核啦。咁所以咧而家喺嗰個5年嘅期間咧就係變咗係早咗啦。咁所以咧如果咁嘅情況，我再申請另外一個嘅簽證嘅時候，咁我所續簽嗰個簽證可唔可以IHS 嗰個部分可唔可以攞返呢一個嘅退款？因為其實嗰個簽證係已經批咗出嚟啦，咁所以就唔可以。
Another good question. If only so, I've got a BNO visa for 5 years, but my dependent, my mum, has got a visa for 2.5 years. So how do I apply for extension for her? Do I just follow the same process?
Yeah, it's the same process, and because she's dependent on you, you've got leave. That's the same as if you were applying together. So yeah, just follow the process.
係咁另外一個問題就係我已經係有一個5年嘅簽證啦，但係我媽媽就係得2年半嘅簽證。咁如果去申請續簽嘅時候，我係咪都需要同樣嘅去進行幫佢進行呢一個嘅簽證咧？係嘅，你係要同時幫佢申請嘅因為咧你係佢嘅供養人。
I think we have a question. I think you've covered that. Whether people that apply able to apply for extension outside of the UK.
Yeah, you can.
Oh. Sorry, Crystal. I think something's been going on. Sorry, you're unmuted now.
係頭先個問題就係咧，係我可唔可以喺國外申請呢個BNO 簽證嘅續簽？係可以嘅。
So we've got a question. If my children are dependent when being at the point of the first BNO visa application, can they apply separately when they turn 18?
Yes, they can.
係有一個問題就係，如果我小朋友咧當第一次申請嘅時候咧，咁係供養人啦。咁當佢18歲以後，係咪可以自己獨立去申請咧？係可以嘅。
We've got a question. I'm not quite sure what that means. During the application of ILR, the BNO visa will be expired. Should I need to extend BNO visa or just wait for the approval of ILR? So I'm not sure whether the person means that they don't have enough BNO visa to then apply for ILR, or whether they mean that even if they apply within 28 days and then the BNO visa expired while they're waiting for ILR.
Okay. Well, if it sounds a little bit like the second one, I think. So if they're saying they've applied for settlement, and whilst they're waiting for a decision, the BNO has expired, you're fine. It's the same as if you'd applied for an extension. As long as you applied in time, your visa is automatically extended whilst the Home Office are making a decision.
係咁呢一條嘅問題咧，呢一條問題咧就會有少少嘅唔係太清楚嘅不過我哋都會盡量去解答。咁頭先嗰位人士咧就想問咧，當佢申請呢一個永居嘅時候，咁而佢嗰個BNO visa 就可能就會已經係到期啦。咁會唔會需唔需要再申請返一個簽證啊？咁喺呢方面其實咧，當你足夠5年嘅時候，然後去申請永居，咁其實咧亦都唔需要太擔心你嗰個簽證已經到期嘅，因為咧當你係申請緊呢一個永居嘅時候咧，你嗰個簽證係會自動同你續期嘅，直至到Home Office 係俾到一個嘅答案你哋。
Thank you, Crystal. So the person's asking if they're applying for settlement, do they still need to apply for a visa extension?
No, one or the other.
係咁另外呢條問題就係當我去申請呢個永居嘅時候，咁相對嚟講，我需唔需要申請我嗰個簽證嘅續期？其實係唔需要嘅只需要係。
Apologies, Crystal. I'm not sure why every now and again everybody's muted, so something's happening with the system, so apologies.
No worries. 咁頭先答返下，咁就係因為你當申請永居嘅時候咧，你嗰個簽證係會 Home Office 係會幫你自動續期嘅，咁所以就唔需要
嘅。Another really good question. If somebody applied via a visa center for the first 2.5 years visa, can they now apply on the app?
Yes, you can.
係，咁另外就係話，如果當我第一次申請呢個 BNO 簽證嘅時候，係喺呢個簽證中心裏邊嘅，咁而我申請續簽，我可唔可以用 app 去申請？係可以嘅。
Right, this one's a bit long one, so I'm trying to say the person used the BNO passport to apply for BNO visa. Recently, they renewed the Hong Kong passport and they wanted to add that to the application to the UK VI. But for some reason, that wasn't being allowed on the app. And they want to travel to with the Hong Kong passport because airlines refuses to accept BNO passport to check in. So when they leaving the UK, they don't need to show the BNO passport at the custom, but when they coming back, they need to show the passport. They have a BNO visa on, but they are traveling with the Hong Kong passport. So do they have to have 2 passports with them while they travel to, one that they need for traveling and the other with the BNO visa, or can they ask the Home Office to kind of accept both passports and link both of them to BNO visa?
Well, the Home Office should really link both, but if they haven't in time for you to travel, you just travel with both passports. As long as you've got the BNO visa, when you return, they'll let you back into the UK on that basis.
係咁呢個情況就係當我申請呢個簽證嘅時候咧，咁嗰個 BNO 簽證就喺我個 BNO 嘅護照。咁但係咧當我做續簽嘅時候啦，咁因為而家嘅情況就係咧，我需要用呢個香港嘅護照咧，係去做旅遊嘅，特別係返香港或者喺香港出嚟嘅時候。咁所以如果係咁嘅情況咧，其實就係唔需要再即係我需唔需要係將我嗰個香港嘅護照咧嘅資料係再提供俾呢一個Home Office 知道嘅。咁喺呢方面其實咧，基本上應該 Home Office 咧亦都會將你呢2本護照咧係會存檔啦。咁然後亦都會係所以當你去返英國嘅時候咧，咁你就基本上你應該2本護照都要用嘅即係要揸住你去旅遊咯。
So we've got an interesting question here. So the person arrived within 240 days, it looks like 9 months after the BN visa was granted, but they were prevented from arriving to the UK because of COVID and other illnesses. Now, so they are short of 9 months of their residence and they wanted to apply for ILR. Would that be accepted? So the 9 months delay due to COVID and other illnesses with an application for ILR?
That is a good question. Potentially. I think probably the thing to do with that one is to take a note of the questioner's details and we'll get back to them on that.
係，咁呢一個問題就係如果係有一位人士啦嚇，佢到咗英國係喺簽證內嘅240日內，咁就好似咧就係只係得9個月嘅，有短咗9個月嘅時間去申請呢一個嘅永居嘅。咁如果係咁樣，因為可能係因為基於佢嗰個健康問題啊，又或者係 Covid 嘅問題啊，咁如果係咁樣，我需唔需要再當我申請呢個永居嘅時候，可唔可以將呢9個月係即係容許縮短咁樣？咁呢方面咧，其實要係再直接啦，同翻可能係法律諮詢方面，又或者係再Home Office 嗰邊去再討論嘅。
Thank you. My understanding is that when you apply for ILR, but you do not qualify for whatever reason, if the Home Office doesn't accept the reasons for the delay, the person would still be granted the BN visa extension automatically.
Yeah, that's
they just have to pay AHS fees on the top of the ILR fees.
Exactly so.
It's becoming a bit expensive.
係根據我嘅資料啦，咁我所知咧就係當你申請呢一個嘅永居嘅時候，如果當其時係可能無論唔知咩嘅原因咧而影響到你嗰個資格嘅話咧，咁可能 Home Office 嗰邊咧亦都唔會接受呢一個嘅延期啊，或者係一個延遲嘅原因。咁但係咧，佢亦都可以相對嚟講應該可以係當佢哋係進行呢一個申請嘅期間啦，咁佢亦都係自動可以有一個嘅簽證延期嘅。咁當然啦，呢方面咧就係可能你係需要再俾翻即係除咗一個永居簽證之外啦，咁可能再要俾翻一啲嘅費用嘅。
So we had a question about the extension of the visa for children who are over 18, but the lady clarified she wanted to know whether the kids can apply before they reach 5 years of residence when they become over 18, and do they still have to meet the 5-year residency criteria before they apply for the extension or ILR?
They have to meet the 5 years. Everybody does, regardless.
係咁，另外咧就係如果我嘅小朋友咧就係喺5年之後，咁佢係超過18歲嘅，咁佢係咪可以係自己獨立申請呢一個嘅永居嘅？其實係嘅，就每一個人咧係喺永居申請方面咧一定要達到5年期嘅。
I think we've got a question about informing the Home Office about the new Hong Kong passport. For someone who applied via the visa center, do they have to do that if they're planning to apply via an app now on a new passport? Will the Home Office kind of link both applications together? If they first apply on an old passport via this visa center, and now they want to apply with a new passport on the app.
That's fine. I mean, if you think about it, plenty of people's passports expire in between one visa and the other. As long as you apply with the up-to-date one, then your old passport details will be on the Home Office records anyway.
係咁，另外就係話，如果當其時我申請簽證嘅時候，我係喺簽證中心用我嘅舊護照，但係我想但係當我申請呢個續簽嘅時候咧，咁我已經係攞到我嘅新護照，而我可唔可以亦都喺嗰個 app 嗰度做咧？其實係可以嘅，因為咧，當你申請嘅時候咧， 咁其實 Home Office 咧已經有晒你嘅所有嘅資料，包括埋你舊護照嘅資料嘅。
Now we have a question. I've applied for 5-year worth of BN visa with my family and came to the UK. We're already here for a year, but my parent is poorly in Hong Kong and I need to go back to take care of them by myself. If I don't have enough time in the UK residency for ILR, can I apply to extend visa by myself rather than the whole family if they do meet criteria for extension?
Yes, you make separate applications. You apply for an extension, they apply for a ILR.
咁另外咧就係我當其時申請呢一個5年簽證嘅時候咧，就係同我嘅家人一齊嘅。咁我亦都嚟咗英國1年㗎啦。咁但係因為咧我其中一個父母啦，咁佢就係有病啦，咁所以我係需要翻去咧香港去照顧佢嘅。咁相對嚟講，如果咁樣嘅情況咧，我就未必可以係喺呢個英國居留嘅時間係足夠去申請呢一個嘅永居嘅。咁我可唔可以自己獨立申請呢一個嘅簽證延期？就唔需要影響到我嘅家人，咁係可以嘅。咁你係可以自己係分開申請翻去續簽你嘅簽證。
Is that the same if the family the person arrived with to the UK are extended, are being not dependents, or the children, would they be able to apply for ILR with the other parent, for example, or if it's a dependent, being not dependent who was linked to that lady's application?
Yeah. Well, what she'll be doing is she's applying at the same time for an extension. And she has leave, so she's still eligible to be in the UK. So the family's not separated. So yeah, that should be okay.
係咁，另外咧，亦都係差唔多嘅，就係我同我嘅家人一齊申請啦，亦都係一齊到咗英國嘅嚇。咁但係譬如話係咁當佢續期嘅時候，咁係咪可以當我小朋友嚇，如果係可唔可以到時係獨立申請嚇？咁其實咧係你亦都係已經到咗英國啦，咁所以咧你亦都唔係同屋企人分開嘅，咁所以你亦都係可以一齊去申請翻嘅。
So the question about the AHS, am I starting to use up my NHS fee once the BN visa was granted, even though I'm still not in the UK?
Well, yeah, essentially, the IHS fee runs at the same time as the validity of the visa. So I guess it's there for you to use if you want to, and if you don't, then it just ticks by.
係咁，另外就係我嗰個IHS 嘅費用啦嚇，咁咧就係我咧就係唔係喺英國嘅，不過咧我就已經係俾咗呢個 IHS 嘅費用啦。咁其實咧呢一個嘅費用咧，其實當你咧個簽證開始有效嘅時候咧，其實就已經係需要係俾㗎啦。咁所以咧喺呢方面咧，你係可以隨時用嘅。
So we've got a question: if the child reaches 5 years residency before the parent, can they apply for their own ILR if they are above 18?
If they're above 18, yes.
係咁，如果我嘅小朋友係已經有足夠嘅5年嘅居留啦，咁而當父母係未有足夠5年嘅居留，咁而我小朋友亦都超過18歲嘅話，佢可唔可以獨立申請呢一個嘅永居？係可以嘅。
So what happens if my settlement application is rejected? Can I apply for visa extension? We've touched upon that.
Yeah, so probably they would automatically give you an extension anyway. They just adjust the fees payable.
咁如果我申請永居被拒絕，咁我可唔可以係續簽我嘅簽證？基本上係可以嘅。因為咧，當你去有呢個情況嘅時候咧，佢哋亦都可能會係自動去延期你嗰個簽證。不過可能你哋亦都需要咧係俾一啲嘅費用嘅。
So basically, you apply for settlement. If it's rejected, they will keep the fees for settlement, but they will ask you to pay for AHS fees on the top of the application. You will not have to pay for BN visa application, but you will have to pay for AHS fees.
That's right. Yeah.
頭先嘅情況就係咧，當你被拒絕呢個永居申請嘅時候咧，咁你係即其實咧，你嗰個永居申請嘅費用咧就唔需要俾，不過咧可能係需要再俾翻嗰個 IHS 嘅費用嘅。
So I'm just trying to navigate the question. So we've covered that. So can I use NHS service after I was granted ILR, or do I have to pay another lump sum AHS for access to NHS?
No, once you've got ILR, you're welcome to live a long and happy life using the NHS in the UK with no further direct payment.
係咁當我如果攞到呢一個嘅永居啦，咁我需唔需要再俾呢個 IHS 嘅費用咧？其實就唔需要噶啦，因為如果你有永居嘅時候咧，就已經可以享用呢個 NHS 嘅服務嘅。
Right. My wife is dependent on a BN visa. She has an EU passport. When she completes 5 years of stay, does she needs to apply the same way as me or through the EU country passport holder route? I think they meant EU settlement scheme.
Okay. Well, I missed the very first start of the question. I think you went on mute for a second.
Oh,
but,
sorry.
Sorry.
Yes. So the lady's an EU national, but applied to come to the UK as a BNO dependent.
Yeah.
So after 5 years of BNO visa, what does she have to do? Can she apply through EUSS or does she apply through the BNO visa route?
Well, it sounds like she's going to be eligible for both, in which case she can apply under either. And the EUSS will probably be cheaper, but look at the fees at the time. Sorry, and I got muted then. Did you catch that?
Yes.
Okay, right.
係，咁呢一個問題就係咧，當我申請呢個 BNO 簽證嘅時候咧，咁我太太咧就係我一齊申請咧係一個公養人啦。咁但係佢咧亦都係擁有呢個 EU 嘅護照嘅。咁當佢申請呢個永居嘅時候咧，咁佢係需要用翻呢一個 BNO 嘅途徑啊，定係話可以用呢個 EU 嘅定居計劃啦？咁其實佢兩方面都可以嘅嚇，不過咧佢可能咧就係用呢個BNO 可能會係比較平啲。
My husband has applied for a BNO visa for 5 years in 2019. He didn't use the visa to enter the UK yet because he's looking after his mother. Can he now add his mother, as a dependent to come to the UK with her?
That's a good question. Because they do generally expect adult dependent relatives to be applying at the same time. So I'll double check for you, but I think you might have to reapply on that one.
係，咁另外一個問題就係我嘅丈夫咧，當其時係申請咗5年嘅 BNO 簽證喺2019年，咁但係當其時佢就冇用呢個嘅簽證入嚟英國嘅，係因為咧佢要照顧佢嘅媽媽。咁 如果而家想申請佢媽媽作為呢個供養人嘅時候，可唔可以？關於呢個問題咧，我哋要再去探討一下。咁但係咧，有可能咧就係需要再重新申請嘅。
Right. I think the question about residency, do not leave UK for more than 180 days. That's a requirement for ILR. Does this requirement apply from the time I land in the UK or from the start date of my visa?
It is from the start of the time you're calculating the 5 years. So, and obviously you choose that to whichever suits you better. So it can be either, if that makes sense.
係咁關於呢一個係申請永居嘅問題，咁去申請永居咧就係有一個要求咧，就係唔可以離開英國咧超過180日嘅。咁而喺呢方面，我係點樣計算我開始嗰一日咧？係唔係我係到咗英國嗰日開始計啊？定係話我嗰個簽證嘅開始日期計嚇？咁其實呢方面係可以兩個計法都得嘅。
I'm just trying to look through it. Yes, I think there's another question about the parent who became dependent while the person was in the UK, what they can do to then bring them to the UK on a BN visa, whether they have to reapply again for the BN visa together with the dependent parents. I think you said you're going to come back to us on that, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's an interesting one, that, because the idea is that they want you to apply together, because if that person's dependent, why would you be applying apart? But if they've only recently become dependent, then it's a different situation. So that's a complicated one.
係咁，呢一個問題同頭先嗰個都好類似嘅，就係啦，我已經申請咗5年嘅 BNO 簽證，咁我亦都係喺英國已經有3年，但係因為我父母咧就我父母咧就係有病啦，咁所以咧就係亦都好需要我嘅照顧。咁如果我而家申請佢作為供養人嘅話，咁可唔可以？咁呢一個問題，我哋頭先亦都提過啦，就係需要一啲探討嘅。咁喺呢方面就要首先咧睇一睇咧，就係話佢係咪一定要係由你去照顧啦？咁所以喺呢方面我哋會再睇完之後再回覆俾大家嘅。
So we've got another question about whether they have to inform the Home Office about the new Hong Kong passport if they apply for a BNO visa with a BNO passport. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so as part of the application, they will ask you to input the details of passports you hold. So yes, you should.
係咁，亦都係關於呢一個嘅護照問題啦。咁譬如我申請時候咧，就係有呢個香港嘅護照啦。咁咁我需唔需要通知呢個Home Office 啦？有關於我新嗰個香港護照嘅資料，咁係需要嘅嚇。咁亦都係當你申請續期嘅時候咧，佢亦都會問你啦，有關你嘅護照資料嘅，咁你可以係入翻落去嘅。